Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Air Force Reserve Officers Training Corps, Detachment 550, Class of 2024 Commissioning Ceremony. Please take this time to silence all electronic devices for the remainder of the ceremony. There are several points during the ceremony where it is appropriate to stand, and I will cue you for those times.
Hey, Cadet Reese, we're starting at 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
So that was just the preparatory command. So Cadet Reese is all over it. So we're not going to start right away. I know there's still people
Yes, sir.
coming in. So thank you, Cadet Reese.
I'll give you the thumbs up when it's time to start talking. Okay. Just in case we have to run over a minute or two. Okay, I'm going to be sitting right in here somewhere.
They just go through TSA.
Yep.
You don't even need to do that now. You can just go to the airport, show TSA. You're like, yeah, you're good. I've never had to do that in any private house.
That was
So it's changed.
a long time ago.
I was training for this place. I've never done that.
Me and my mother were very happy.
That's fantastic.
Took a lot.
Is it so your social security plan as well? Yeah, that.
So, I mean, I got my it's just that the letter was going to be made. And after that, I'm going to tell them, hey, I want a naturalized person. So send them an email that, okay, once it's I don't know if I get a new one. See, I'm a permanent resident.
Oh, okay, so if we should already have this in record. So we just need that document. Yeah.
There's an Excel spreadsheet with a waiting tab. Yeah, so they can move from that tab to confirm for.
Yeah. I'm taking a summer semester. No, this works out for me. This works out for me. Yeah,
You stay in airports.
All that. I was staying.
So that means that depending on what the commander wants to do,
I did the same thing.
but we're gonna sit on that.
That's what I did. Gotta do his school.
Yeah. Absolutely. You absolutely have to do this. You need to be asked permission. I'm starting. I spoke to a senior advisor, me and her got to work. And she told me, fly, we know who you are, we know what you're doing, you have a plan. I showed her a rough plan, we got advice and everything, of how all the numbers are going to come out. And should be able to start in the fall. In this fall, moving, allowing me to leave that spring of 2026.
His CMLA is
Financial aid.
what? Look at that.
Everything's
The
working.
universe conspiring to make sure that if you put in the work,
Yeah.
so good. That's what Kathy said, that I'll give her the thumbs up. Ready to go.
It was a good preparatory command though. You got everyone all ready to go.
They were
Just read the,
focused. It's okay. It worked out.
Hey, so you'll have Max now start sitting on the stage?
Max said he wanted to sit down to start, and then when he's called that first time, he'll come up and say something.
No, I know it's like multiple.
He's gonna come with you when it says the oath. So, right?
The question is, do you stand up like 10 seconds, like 5 seconds later when they say commissioned by photo?
No.
I'll walk up right behind you.
It's hard to see from the back, but there is a gap right here. And when you're encouraged to come and take photos, if you'd like to come down, this is the perfect spot for you. There's more space to walk through here. So if you'd like to come down and take photos, this is the spot.
No. Okay, here it is. No. Oh, on this page. Sorry.
What are you guys looking for?
There's his sentence. Remove parentheses. Proffer.
So just
When you hear
listen
the
to
word
the word
proffer.
proffer
Okay.
after they talk about De La Rosa getting an award.
Okay.
So when D'Lo stands up,
Okay.
the very next paragraph
Five.
is going to talk about a proffer.
Okay.
3.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
No,
And
that's
you
not
can
mine.
step out forward too. So like, step out.
3, 5, 7, 9. Okay. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Air Force Reserve Officers Training Corps, Detachment 550, Class of 2024 Commissioning Ceremony. Please take this time to silence all electronic devices for the remainder of the ceremony. Now, there are several points during the ceremony where it is appropriate to stand, and I will cue you for those times. The ceremony is for the commissionee and their families. It is for you. Therefore, feel free to move around the auditorium when it is your commissionee's turn on stage and take all the pictures you'd like. Thank you. The ceremony will begin shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of the national anthem, followed by the invocation provided by Father Larry Rice.
Good morning. I'm Father Larry Rice. I'm your RPI chaplain, and it is my honor and privilege to be with all of you this morning. Let us pray. Gracious God, we come before you today with grateful hearts as we commission these Air Force ROTC officers into their new roles of leadership and service. We thank you for the hard work, dedication, and sacrifices they have made to reach this point in their journey. As they step into their roles as officers in the United States Air Force, we ask for your guidance and protection. Give them wisdom and discernment as they make decisions that impact the lives of others. Strengthen them in times of challenge and uncertainty, and inspire them to always act with integrity and honor. May they always remember the values of the Air Force: integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all they do. And may they be a shining example of these values to all those they lead and serve. Bless this commissioning ceremony and all who are gathered here today. May your presence be felt among us as we celebrate these officers and send them forth with our love and support and with your blessing and protection. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Father Rice, for the invocation. You may be seated. Good morning. I am Cadet Marcella Risa, your narrator for today's ceremony. On behalf of Detachment 550, welcome to this morning's commissioning ceremony. I would like to welcome all family, friends, and mentors of the class of 2024. We are excited and grateful for the privilege to host you during this morning's ceremony. The Reserve Officers Training Corps is a challenging, total force officer development program that builds warrior-minded leaders of character who are committed to our oath, values, and creed. In today's Department of the Air Force, these new officers will be called upon to accomplish difficult missions and lead their teams in complex environments. Our officers are not only expected to be morally and physically courageous, but also develop resilience and a hardiness of spirit as they serve and lead airmen and guardians in accomplishing their missions as we support and defend the Constitution of the United States. To ensure our officers can meet these high demands, the Reserve Officers Training Corps challenges cadets on all fronts. In addition to earning their degree, cadets are expected to master rigorous physical standards, military academics, drill and ceremonies, leadership positions within the detachment, and much, much more. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Jake Miller. Lieutenant Colonel Miller is the Professor of Aerospace Studies and the Commanding Officer of Detachment 550. He received his commission from the United States Air Force Academy in May of 2000. He is a Special Tactics Officer and has served all over the world. As Detachment Commander, he's responsible for recruiting, educating, training, and developing officers for the United States Air Force and Space Force. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Cadet Risa. Before I start my formal remarks, I can't tell you how excited I am to see all of you here to celebrate your soon-to-be new lieutenants. It's great to see all of you here. This is absolutely an event for the new lieutenants and for you. If you want to get up and take a photo, there will absolutely be a chance to do so, and we will afford you every opportunity to get the perfect shot, because this is only going to happen once. All right? So please feel free to get up and move around and do that. Ms. Oxman, I know this woman stepped out with her child. If she wants to come in and her child can run around, I think that'd be great. So tell her there's nothing wrong with having kids in here. So, all right? All right. So, thank you, everyone, for joining us here today to recognize the future second lieutenants of the United States Air Force and Space Force from Detachment 550. welcome Colonel Seward, to all of your parents and family and friends to today's event. Before I really start, though, I do need to say thank you to everyone that made this happen. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, from the university employee, Ms. Oxman, who is making things happen right now as we speak, to the staff here at Impact, to the cadet leads who put together the programming and were over here during the technology checks and making sure everything is working. There's a lot of effort that went into making this happen. We don't just simply get a walk onto the stage and it looks like this and everything goes flawlessly. So thank you to everyone who put this together. And Father Larry, thank you for those words. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Last night, for the seniors who were at the Joint Service Awards ceremony, Commander Latta talked about how this is a transition. You're transitioning from the academic, from the study of the art of war, really now to the practical application of the art of war. On September 11, 2001, I was readying my team at Combat Control School for our first jump into our culmination exercise. The culmination exercise was a grueling 10-day event that encapsulated all of the previous 13 weeks of training we'd received. The jump master brief was cut short as the jump master cut to the TV and showed the Twin Towers on fire. The commandant on the schoolhouse stopped the briefing and told us to go outside and begin mission rehearsals. We had already done all of our mission preparation and our rehearsals, but we were doing it again. We were practicing the same thing, the same TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures that were soon put into place on the 25th of November 2001 when an Air Force combat control team established a landing zone in southern Afghanistan to go after the Taliban stronghold in Kandahar. The name of that LZ was Rhino LZ. And our training for the next 10 days became very real because we knew this wasn't hypothetical. The lessons weren't simply information to remember for the next test. This was the test, the practical application of the art of war. And that training has stood me well for the next 20 years of conflict. But for you about to pick up the mantle of defending our nation, I'd like to offer my thoughts one last time to prepare you for when the world changes in an instant. 1, be ready. You never know when that instant will come or where it will happen, where you will be. You might be the very first person on the scene. You might be the only person manning the phone to take the message to say, launch the force. And just like on 9/11, when the world changes in an instant and what might become theoretical becomes very, very real. And you need to be ready. Be physically fit, have your bags packed, have your affairs in order, and be really, really good at your job. Number 2. I've said it before, do the little things right, or you'll have to do them again if you get the chance. I wish you could ask Marty and Timmy about doing the little things right. But they died on August 5th, 2015 in a parachute training accident because they weren't doing the little things right. Whatever you undertake to do it to the best of your ability. Make it your habit to invest the time when you're young and have the time to master those skills of your craft to be a master. You won't get more time to master those skills later. my first deployment to Afghanistan, and we were sent to Mazar-e-Sharif in northern Afghanistan in December of 2003 to secure that airfield for a follow-on mission. Secretary of Rumsfeld was coming in to do a secret meeting with the Northern Alliance in the city of Mazar-e-Sharif, and we were there to control the landing zone. We were inserted by CH-47, and as soon as we hit the ground, we started clearing the airfield and doing our mission. The guys were out on the LZ. I had gone up into the tower to talk to the local nationals. And as soon as we were doing this, a C-17 called us requesting permission to land. And I wasn't prepared. I hadn't studied the airfield survey like I should have during the pre-mission checks. I wasn't going to be the primary air traffic controller on the mission the following day, but I didn't have time to do it again. And my NCO, Master Sergeant Brian Loudermilk, let me know in no uncertain terms that I had failed that day. So be ready and be really, really good at your job. Third and lastly, but I would say most importantly, be kind. Be kind to those around you, your wing buddies, your teammates, the folks in your office. The job is hard enough without you being an asshole. And when people are shooting at you, it's the wrong time to try and make friends or figure out who your friends really are. You'll never know when you need help, and you never know who's going to answer that call. It might be a joint partner that you met for the first time in that pre-mission brief 3 hours prior, and then they come in to save your ass. Make yourself approachable, reach out to those around you so you know them and what makes them tick. On that same deployment, I decided to leave the mail for the next day because I hadn't gotten it from the post office to put into the bags on the ring flight to go out to the guys at the forward operating bases. I decided it was late. There was another ring flight the next day. I was going to wait. And Chief Master Sergeant Jim Lyons ripped me a new one. Never mess with another guy's mail. And I can tell you, those weren't the words he used. Back before cell phones and email, it was how the deployed troops kept in touch with their loved ones, was their mail. Mail call was important to the guys, so it was important to Chief, and it should have been important to me. Put others first, and be kind. I learned a lot of lessons on that deployment. Hopefully you learn from me and don't make those same mistakes yourself. The future fight is one I can't imagine. But it's the one that you all are prepared for. Take risk, break the status quo, be confident. I know you're ready. You've committed yourself to the noblest cause to defend our nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'm damn proud of all of you and can't think of a finer group of leaders ready to take the mantle. Congratulations as commissioning as officers, and Godspeed.
Lieutenant Colonel Miller, thank you for your remarks. The class of 2024 appreciates your wisdom. And now, a message from New York Senator Chuck Schumer.
Hi everyone, it's Senator Chuck Schumer, and I want to congratulate the 21 Navy, Air Force, and Space Force officers commissioning today. And congratulations to the moms and dads who helped these young men and women prepare to serve our country. Congratulations to your great President, Marty Schmidt, and the entire Rensselaer team for 200 years of excellence at RPI. Well, there's nothing more honorable than serving in our armed forces. As officers, your responsibilities will be immense. The expectations will be high. but I am more than confident you're up to the task. After all, you're graduating from a truly fine institution of higher learning and one of the premier ROTC programs in the country. I like to say the sky's the limit, but RPI ROTC graduates like B. Weissman, who was selected to help America return to the moon as the commander of the Artemis II, are proving you can go even further. So as you step forward into our changing world, we're counting on you to serve with honor, lead with integrity, uphold the great American values of freedom and democracy. Congratulations. May God bless all of you, and may God bless the United States of America.
We would now like to recognize a select few cadets who have earned awards for their outstanding performance during their time at Detachment 550. Cadet Samaglia, please rise. Cadet Samaglia earned the coveted Board of Trustees Award for his commitment to exceeding standards in every aspect of his AFROTC journey. A round of applause for Cadet Samaglia. You may be seated. Cadet DiLorenzo, please rise. Cadet DiLorenzo has been recognized as the distinguished graduate of Detachment 550's 2024 graduating class. This is a special honor, one that does not happen every year at smaller detachments. Cadet DiLorenzo has been recognized as a member of the top 10% of all graduating cadets nationwide, an honor that will be captured in her military records for the entirety of her career. Her dedication to integrity, service, and excellence are unparalleled. A round of applause for Cadet DiLorenzo. You may be seated. Before we begin administering the oaths of office, I'd like to encourage friends and families to take pictures during this special event. Remember that you may move around as needed when your cadet is on stage and take as many pictures as you would like. Family and friends that are joining your lieutenant on stage will remain on stage near the proffer for a full group picture at the end of your lieutenant's official ceremony. Also, please be aware that there will be an official photographer who will be capturing your moments. Each cadet will receive an individual commissioning, which will consist of the federal oath of office, the pinning of the second lieutenant rank, the traditional first salute, and the presenting of the Air Force Parents Pin. The tradition of the first salute comes to us from the British Army, where new officers were assigned an experienced enlisted member to teach them the history and traditions of the regiment, as well as to train the young officer how to wear their uniform and maintain their equipment. These enlisted soldiers did not receive more pay for their efforts, so it became customary for officers to give a silver shilling out of their own pay to thank them for their guidance and mentorship. Today, this tradition has evolved into the ceremonial first salute. Upon commissioning, the enlisted member who renders the officer his or her first salute is given a silver dollar in return. This signifies the mutual respect and dependence between our officer and enlisted corps and serves as a token of thanks on behalf of the officer for all that the enlisted person has done in service to our country. The tradition of the challenge coin, meanwhile, dates back to World War I. While fighting in the skies over Europe, an American man was shot down and crash-landed behind enemy lines. He evaded the enemy and made it back to friendly forces, but he had no identification. The French allies who had picked him up did not believe his story and were planning to execute him as a spy. However, the airman soon realized he in fact did have an identifying item, a memento unique to his American unit, a coin-sized bronze medallion. When he presented his coin to the French soldiers, they recognized that he was in fact an Allied soldier, and instead of executing him, presented him with a bottle of wine for his troubles. Out of this fateful story, the tradition of the challenge coin was born, and today Lieutenant Colonel Miller will present our freshly minted lieutenants with their first challenge coin. We will now commence with administering the oaths of office and pinning of rank for the class of 2024. Please hold your applause until all segments of each member's commissioning are complete. Cadet Esteban Speedling is graduating from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute with a Bachelor of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering. He will now be commissioned by Colonel Edward Seward, United States Air Force, retired. Lieutenant Speedling will now be pinned on by his mother, Margaret Speedling, his father, Richard Speedling, and his fiancée, Mariah Hovey. Lieutenant Speedling will be reporting to Peterson Space Force Base, Colorado, to train as a space operations officer. Lieutenant Speedling will now receive his first salute from his younger brother, Airman First Class Victor Speedling. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Esteban Speedling. Cadet David Guerra is graduating from the University at Albany with a Bachelor of Science degree in Cybersecurity and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Computer Science. He will now be commissioned by Lieutenant Colonel Jake Miller, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Guerra will now be pinned on by his grandmother, Lorraine Guerra, and his grandfather, Anthony Guerra. Lieutenant Guerra will be reporting to Naval Air Station Pensacola, Florida, for Combat Systems Officer training. Lieutenant Guerra will now receive his first salute from his fiancée, Private First Class Julissa Fonseca, United States Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant David Guerra. Cadet Joseph Thornton is graduating from Union College with a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Engineering. He will now be commissioned by Lieutenant Colonel Jake Miller, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Thornton will now be pinned on by his mother, Kate Thornton, and his father, John Thornton. Lieutenant Thornton will be reporting to Patrick Space Force Base in Florida to train as a developmental engineer. Lieutenant Thornton will now receive his first salute from his cadre and mentor, Staff Sergeant Ryan Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Joseph Thornton. Cadet Dalton Chick Penland is graduating from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute with a Bachelor of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering. He will now be commissioned by his cadre and mentor, Captain Max Lapelles, United States Air Force.
Having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Space Force, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Lieutenant Chick Penland will now be pinned on by his mother, Delissa Penland, and his father, Dustin Penland. Lieutenant Chick Penland will be reporting to Peterson Space Force Base, Colorado, to train as a space operations officer. Lieutenant Chick Penland will now receive his first salute from his best friend, Lance Corporal Elvis Reyes, United States Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Dalton Chick Penland. Cadet Vincent Simaglia is graduating from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute with a Bachelor of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering. He will now be commissioned by Captain Max Lapellas, United States Air Force.
Having been appointed a second lieutenant to the United States Air Force, I solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God.
Lieutenant Simaglia will now be pinned on by his mother, Jennifer Simaglia, and his father, Charles Simaglia. Lieutenant Simaglia will be reporting to Keesler Air Force Base, Mississippi, to train as a cyberspace operations officer. Lieutenant Simaglia will now receive his first salute from his cadre and mentor, Staff Sergeant Ryan Lewis, United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Vincent Simaglia. Cadet Tess DiLorenzo is graduating from Skidmore College with a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology. She will now be commissioned by Captain Max Lapellas, United States Air Force.
Having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this oath freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God.
Lieutenant DiLorenzo will now be pinned on by her sister, Tara DiLorenzo, and her brother, Lincoln DiLorenzo. Lieutenant DiLorenzo will be reporting to Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma to train as an officer in the Office of Special Investigations. Lieutenant DiLorenzo will now receive her first salute from her father and mentor, Technical Sergeant Mark DiLorenzo, United States Air Force Separated. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Tess DiLorenzo. Cadet Alexander Lawson is graduating from the University at Albany with a Bachelor of Arts degree in History and Japanese. He will now be commissioned by Captain Max Lapellas, United States Air Force.
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Lieutenant Lawson will now be pinned on by his mother, Annette DeCrest Lawson, and his father, Mark Lawson. Lieutenant Lawson will be a pilot in the United States Air Force. He will report to Moody Air Force Base, Georgia, for initial pilot training. Lieutenant Lawson will now receive his first salute from his cadre and mentor, Staff Sergeant Daryl Moa, United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Alexander Lawson. Cadet Jacob Pass is graduating from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute with a Bachelor of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering. He will now be commissioned by Captain Max Lapellas, United States Air Force.
I state your name. I, Jacob Pass. Having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. Having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. And I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So
Lieutenant Pass will now be pinned on by his mother, Lori Pass, and his father, Jonathan Pass. Lieutenant Pass will be a pilot in the United States Air Force. He'll report to Vance Air Force Base, Oklahoma, for initial pilot training. Lieutenant Pass will now receive his first salute from his cadre and mentor, Staff Sergeant Ryan Lewis, United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Jacob Pass.
Don't listen to the arrow.
Yeah, right.
Cadet Samantha Kramer is graduating from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute with a Bachelor of Science degree in Biology and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Philosophy. She will now be commissioned by Second Lieutenant Justin Riffler, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Kramer will now be pinned on by her mother, Carla Kramer, her father, Thomas Kramer, and her husband, Caleb Mendoza. Lieutenant Kramer will be a remotely piloted aircraft pilot in the United States Air Force. She will report to Randolph Air Force Base, Texas, for initial pilot training. Lieutenant Kramer will now receive her first salute from her cadre and mentor, Staff Sergeant Ryan Lewis, United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Samantha Kramer. Cadet Alexander Ryan is graduating from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute with a Bachelor of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering. He will now be commissioned by Second Lieutenant Justin Rifflard, United States Air Force.
I, Alexander Michael Ryan, having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God.
Lieutenant Ryan will now be pinned on by his brother, Martin Ryan. Lieutenant Ryan will be reporting to Naval Air Station Pensacola for Combat Systems Officer training. Lieutenant Ryan will now receive his first salute from his cadre and mentor, Staff Sergeant Ryan Lewis, United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Alexander Ryan. Will all the newly commissioned lieutenants please come to the stage to be recognized? Ladies and gentlemen, please help me congratulate the newest Air Force and Space Force officers and all of the Detachment 550 class of 2024 for successfully graduating from the Air Force Reserve Officers Training Corps. Second lieutenants, please return to your seats. No? Okay. Everyone, please rise or remain standing for the playing and singing of the first verse of the Air Force song and of the Space Force song. Y'all may be seated now. As a reminder, the stage will remain open for 1 hour for photos. Additionally, there is another location available for photos on the mezzanine during the reception. Thank you again for coming to support the newest officers in the Air Force and the Space Force as they start their journeys as second lieutenants. This concludes today's commissioning ceremony.